Och The Who då, som är det mest kända rockbandet från den första vågen, finns fortfarande kvar. De är ute på världsturné med sin rockopera Quadrophenia, som även blev film i slutet på 70-talet. Och Musikjournalens Magdalena Väpnagård har träffat The Who's sångare Roger Daltrey, som berättar hur det känns att vara tillbaka på rockscenen igen.
Having been away from it for 10 years, last time we played, and that time gives you time to kind of give it a rebirth. There's something about music that the familiarity, if you're playing it night after night, you don't actually go through the motions, but some of the spontaneity disappears. And coming back to working together after 10 years it's exciting every night, because you kind of rediscover the music every night, because it's almost as though we wrote it yesterday. Mm. It's a very interesting part of our careers, I think, because we've got such a wealth of material which we could never play as we used to play it. But it's kind of, in some ways, more interesting going back to it and say, well, how do I feel about these songs now? And then reapproaching them. And because they're good songs, because the quality of Pete's songwriting is so strong, they can sometimes come out better with a complete rethink. Oh, a lot has changed. I mean, our relationship with each other has changed. I mean, it's very much creatively pulling together in a way that hasn't been there since the 70s. I mean, we had a very creative period from 1969 to 1973, and Quadrophenia really was the last of that. And then from then on, it kind of, we all, like, the egos took over, and we were living in each other's pockets and spending so much time together because of the pressures of touring and all those things, that other personal things that weren't really very big problems became magnified and interfered a great deal with the creative process, and all that's gone now, and we've got nothing to prove. We just acknowledge the fact that there's an amazing chemistry musically between us, and there are certain things that some of us are good at, which are necessary within the group, and other things that other people obviously are the best at, i.e. the songwriting. No one, I don't think, is ever going to beat Pete Townshend for writing songs. He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest writers of rock songs of all time. I think there's 5 great writers, and Townshend's in the top 3. There's a lot of good writers, but I'm talking about the greats, the Dylans, the Lennons, and then I think it's that order for me. It's Dylan, Lennon, Townsend, Ray Davis, and then it kind of gets a bit cloudy, doesn't it? But not that the others are bad. But I'm talking about classic songs with incredible vision and courage.
Och det är ju det som är Quadrophenia, klassisk rock'n'roll-cirkus. Men man måste ju leva också, och när basisten John Entwistle var här i Sverige på presskonferens tidigare i vintras, så satt han och berättade för den församlade pressen att han gör det här bara för att han måste tjäna ihop pengar till alla sina rashästar. Och Roger Daltrey, han skrattar rått åt det här försöket att ljuga om en flottare livsstil än man egentligen har.
He hasn't got a racehorse. Well, I mean, to an extent, that's true. I mean, we've all got to live like everybody else, and the Who were a very idealistic group in our day, and we pioneered so much, and we did it with all our own money. So I mean, we lost fortunes in developing laser technology and film studios, all kinds of artistic. Entrepreneurial things that we got into that we knew nothing about, and we're not particularly rich, so we do have to live. So it would be a lie to say that the money isn't useful, because it is, but it's not. I can't do my job just for the money. I really mean that sincerely. I mean, it's not that kind of job. You've either got to love it and do it, or if you've got any kind of dislike of the job, there's no way you can do it. and no amount of money can make you do it, you know.
The Who 1997 består alltså av Roger Daltrey, John Entwistle och en av världens i alla fall bästa låtskrivare enligt bandkollegorna, Pete Townshend. Och det är många som har försökt att fylla den gamla trumstolen efter Keith Moon. Bland annat så har Kenny Jones spelat trummor, men han är kickad sedan 83. Zach Starkey heter den nya trummisen och det är Ringo Starrs son. Så kan cirkeln slutas, men de saknar fortfarande Keith Moon mycket.
When Keith died, whereas it closed a chapter and a very big one, and we still miss him greatly. It also gave us the freedom to do anything, and what did we do? We tried to create what we'd had with Keith, and it was mad. It was insane. But I mean, that's how you act when you're, you know, in grief and shock and all those things that we were going through at that time.
So you reckon it should have been a three-piece with a session drummer then, more than anything?
I think we should have been a three-piece with as many other people that we wanted to get in for any given project. I think that's what we should have been. More of what we are now. And it's much more exciting. It also gives you much more scope to be adventurous. And God only knows that rock and roll does need to be adventurous. And it stops you just becoming a greatest hits band, which we started to become in 1989. That's what we were doing. We were going out playing everybody our greatest hits, and you know, we were playing for like 3 hours of great songs. But you know what? And everybody had a great time. But where could it have ever gone? That's right, because in the end, artistically, you're on one hand you're giving an audience what it wants, but you're not giving yourself anything that you need to then go on to another level. That's what I love about the show we've got on the road now. It is something. I don't know whether you've seen the show.
Not yet.
It is totally different. It's an experiment in arena theatre, and as with all kinds of theatre, it's very difficult to remain true to rock and roll, because you know what happens when they try and put rock and roll on Broadway. It becomes kind of I call it blue rinse rock and roll. You know, it's not my idea of what rock and roll is all about. This show is still pure up front, in your face rock and roll, but it's got a great narrative. It's got different kind of dimensions of visual to take you through a story, and I think it gives the audience an awful lot to go away and think about. So this is very exciting, this show. It's not a retro show, and the beauty of Quadrophenia is because it is about teenage angst and the problems of adolescence, you know, all those problems that we have to go through, trying to put ourselves together as a person that we can kind of live with ourselves. The story is timeless. In some ways, when you see the show, it's almost got more relevance today than it had when it came out in 73.
Den som vill höra mer av Quadrophenia och inte har skivan kan då alltså bege sig till Globen i morgon. Då spelar The Who upp sin tidlösa rockopera Quadrophenia. Nej, Globen på Cirkus i Stockholm, ursäkta mig. Det var Magdalena Weppnegård som hade träffat Roger Daltrey och det här är musik.